Dubai, the story of a city that refused to stay small. Welcome to Echo English, where learning English is not just about words but about awakening the way you think, the way you observe, and the way you understand the world. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine standing in the middle of an endless desert. No roads, no buildings, no sound except the wind moving across the sand. No signs of ambition, no evidence of progress, only silence stretching as far as your eyes can see. Now open your eyes and imagine that same place transforming into one of the most powerful cities on earth. A place where the tallest towers rise beyond the clouds, where innovation feels like a daily habit, and where millions of dreams arrive every year searching for opportunity. This transformation did not happen by accident, it was not luck, it was not destiny. It was a decision. This is the story of how Dubai refused to remain what it was and chose to become something the world could not ignore. Before the world looked a life of survival and silent strength. Long before the world knew its name, Dubai existed quietly along the waters of the Persian Gulf, not as a symbol of success but as a test of survival. The land was harsh, the climate unforgiving, and the resources painfully limited. There were no guarantees of comfort, no systems of support, no safety nets. Only the raw reality of life in a place where nature decided everything. People did not wake up thinking about growth or success, they woke up thinking about survival. Every day was uncertain, every effort carried risk, and yet life continued. Not because it was easy, but because it had to. Men sailed into unpredictable waters to fish, not knowing if they would return with food or empty hands. Traders traveled long distances across dangerous routes, carrying goods with no promise of profit. And peril divers, they lived a life that demanded both courage and sacrifice. With nothing but a breath of air and determination, they plunged into the depths of the sea, chasing something invisible, something fragile, something that might not even exist in the waters they explored. But they still went. Because when survival depends on uncertainty, fear becomes a luxury you cannot afford. There was no spotlight on Dubai, no recognition, no applause. But beneath that unnoticed existence, something powerful was quietly growing: resilience. Then came a movement that could have erased everything. In the early 20th century, without warning, without preparation, the foundation of Dubai's economy collapsed. The pearl trade, once the heartbeat of the region, lost its value almost overnight due to the rise of cultured pearls in distant markets. What once sustained life suddenly meant nothing. This was not just an economic crisis, it was an emotional collapse. Imagine dedicating your entire life to something, risking your health, your time, your future, only to wake up one day and realize it no longer has value, that everything you depended on has disappeared. Families struggled, livelihoods vanished, hope began to fade. And in moments like these, societies often break. They lose direction, they surrender to circumstances. Dubai stood at that edge. A place with no strong resources, no strong economy, and now no clear future. But sometimes the darkest moments do not come to destroy you, they come to reveal what you are capable of becoming. Oil, not a miracle but a test of wisdom. In 1966, something unexpected happened. Oil was discovered beneath the desert. For many reasons, this would have been the ultimate solution, the final answer to all problems. Wealth would flow, comfort would follow, and struggle would finally end. But what happened next is what makes Dubai's story different. Under the leadership of Sheikh Rashid bin Saeed Al Maktoum, oil was not treated as a permanent solution, it was treated as a temporary opportunity. This is where true vision begins. Because it is easy to become comfortable when resources are abundant. It is easy to depend on what is already working, but it takes extraordinary thinking to prepare for a future where your greatest advantage no longer exists. Instead of building luxury, he built foundations. Instead of focusing on the present, he invested in the future. Infrastructure began to rise, roads connecting distant places, ports inviting global trade, airports opening doors to the world, and schools shaping minds that would one day lead the next phase of growth. He understood something deeply important: wealth does not build a future, decisions do. Sheikh Rashid, the man who saw beyond oil. When oil was discovered in 1966, it arrived like a sudden answer to years of struggle. But what defined Dubai's future was not the discovery itself, it was how it was used. At the center of this movement stood Sheikh Rashid bin Sayed Al Maktoum, a leader whose thinking went far beyond his time. There is a powerful story often told about him. When advisors once questioned why he was spending so much money on infrastructure instead of saving it, he responded with a vision that sounded almost impossible back then. He believed that one day oil would disappear, but if Dubai built itself wisely, the world would come to it. This was not just leadership, this was foresight. He invested in ports like Port Rashid, expanded trade routes, and focused on building systems that would outlive oil itself. While others saw wealth, he saw responsibility. While others saw comfort, he saw urgency. He was not building a city for his time, he was building it for a future he would not even see. If Sheikh Rashid laid the foundation, his son Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum expanded it with a mindset that completely rejected limitations. There is a defining belief that shaped his decisions. In Dubai, nothing is impossible. But this was not just a slogan, it was a principle that guided action. When the idea of building the Burj Khalifa was proposed, it was seen by many as unnecessary, even unrealistic. Why build the tallest structure in the world in the middle of a desert? But Sheikh Mohammed understood something deeper: symbolism matters. He knew that the world does not just respond to growth, it responds to bold statements. Similarly, when projects like Palm Jumeirah were introduced, critics questioned the feasibility. Creating islands shaped like palm trees in the sea sounded more like imagination than reality. But in Dubai, imagination was never dismissed, it was engineered. And that is what made the difference. One of the most powerful examples of bold thinking came with the creation of Emirates. At the time, entering the global aviation industry was a massive risk. Established airlines already dominated the market. There was no guarantee that a new airline from a relatively unknown city would succeed. But the decision was made anyway. Why? Because Dubai understood something essential. If people don't naturally come to you, you create a reason for them to come. Emirates did not just become an airline, it became a bridge connecting continents, cultures, and economies. It turned Dubai into a meeting point of the world. The strategy: thinking beyond survival. Dubai's true brilliance lies not in its achievements but in its thinking. Even at the peak of oil wealth, the leadership made a conscious decision to diversify. Tourism, finance, real estate, innovation, each sector was carefully developed, not as an experiment but as a necessity. This required discipline because it is easy to depend on what is already working, but it takes intelligence to prepare for what might stop working. Dubai did not wait for crisis, it planned ahead of it. But beyond leadership, beyond vision, there are countless untold stories. The workers, the engineers, the planners, the dreamers who came from different parts of the world. They arrived with hope, with ambition, sometimes with sacrifice. They worked under extreme conditions, contributing their strength to something much bigger than themselves. Dubai is not just the story of leaders, it is the story of collective effort. Because no vision becomes reality without people willing to build it. Even today, Dubai continues to push boundaries. With projects like the Museum of the Future and global platforms like Expo 2020 Dubai, it is constantly redefining what progress looks like. It is not satisfied with being successful, it wants to remain relevant, and that requires continuous evolution. The era of imagination when limits were no longer accepted. What followed was not just development, it was transformation driven by imagination. Dubai did not ask what is possible, it asked what if there were no limits. And that question changed everything. The creation of the Burj Khalifa was not just about constructing a building, it was about challenging gravity itself, about proving that ambition can rise higher than expectation. The development of Palm Jumeirah was not just engineering, it was redefining geography, showing that even nature's boundaries could be reshaped by human creativity. And landmarks like Burj Al Arab became symbols not just of luxury but of a mindset that refuses to settle for average. Dubai was no longer creating to the world, it was influencing it. Dubai's transformation did not stop at infrastructure, it extended into identity. It positioned itself as a place where the world could meet through strategic planning and global connectivity. Supported by organizations like Emirates, the city became a central hub linking continents, cultures, and economies. But more importantly, it became a place where individuals could define their lives. People arrived from different countries carrying different stories. Some searching for success, some escaping limitations, some simply hoping for a better future. And Dubai, in its own way, gave them space to try. Not guarantees, but opportunities. And sometimes that is enough. Thinking beyond the present, the real secret of Dubai. What makes Dubai truly powerful is not what it built, but how it thinks. While many economies depend heavily on a single resource, Dubai made a conscious decision to diversify. Tourism, business, technology, real estate, each sector became a pillar supporting its growth. It prepared not just for the next year but for the next generation. And that is a rare kind of intelligence because real success is not measured by how high you raise but by how long you can sustain that raise. But no story of greatness is complete without acknowledging its cost. Behind every skyscraper, there are hands that built it. Behind every success, there are sacrifices that made it possible. Workers from different parts of the world contributed their time, their energy, and often their comfort to turn Dubai's vision into reality. This does not diminish Dubai's achievement, it deepens it. Because progress is never just about results, it is about the people behind those results. Even today, Dubai continues to move forward with the same mindset that built it. Projects like the Museum of the Future and global platform like Expo 2020, Dubai reflect a city that is constantly asking what comes next. It does not wait for the future, it creates it. And in doing so, it reminds the world that growth is not a destination, it is a continuous journey. Dubai's story is not just about a place, it is about a mindset that refuses to stay limited, even when circumstances suggest otherwise. It is proof that beginnings do not define endings, that scarcity does not limit vision, and that transformation begins the moment you decide not to remain the same. So, here is something to think about. If everything around you said stay small, would you listen or would you dare to think like Dubai? If this story changed the way you think even a little, subscribe to Echo English because here you don't just learn English, you learn how to see possibilities where others see limits.